While the decision to undergo a mastectomy can save a life, it can also leave women with a numbness from their belly buttons to their collarbones. But that may not be the case any longer thanks to a new surgical technique called resensation. Joining us now is Tony Fruget, a breast cancer survivor who has undergone resensation by Axogen. Tony, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for being here. So glad that you had this procedure because it helped you get better. Before we talk about that procedure that you had, I want to hear a little bit more about your story about being diagnosed with breast cancer and getting a mastectomy. Can you tell us a little bit of your story?
So, I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2017. After completing a self breast check in the shower, I found a lump in my left breast, which then led me to go to the doctor and get a biopsy. I found out I had invasive ductal carcinoma, stage 2. It had already gone into my lymph nodes. At the time, I decided to have chemotherapy and radiation versus having a mastectomy because I had friends who told me, the numbness that they experienced and how awkward it felt and how weird it was. And at the age of 38, I just wasn't sure that that was something that I wanted to do. So I actually did not make the decision to have a mastectomy until 2019, 2 years after being diagnosed.
And why did you decide to finally say, let me go and have this mastectomy?
So after chemo and radiation, I was having to have mammograms every 3 to 6 months. And unfortunately for me, I have very dense breast tissue with calcifications. So I was constantly having to have biopsies. And I felt
Wow.
like cancer was controlling me, and I wanted to gain control back in my life. So that's when I spoke with my oncologist, and she led me to Dr. Walters.
And Dr. Walters told you about this procedure that you did have. It's called resensation. How did that procedure work?
So it's done during your surgery. It's an extra 15 or 30 minutes, but I like to tell people, when you're having a 5 to 6 hour surgery, what's an extra 15 to 30 minutes when it can change your life? Um, Resensation is when they connect your nerves back. When you have a mastectomy and they remove your breast tissue, they sever or they cut your nerves. And that's where the numbness come from. Resensation is basically the binding or the reconnection of those nerves.
And you had that procedure, and I'm so glad you had that procedure because, again, now the numbness is gone. How has having this procedure helped change your life?
So I remember when I first got home from having my mastectomy and I was in the shower and I couldn't feel the hot water. And I thought to myself, wow, this is how my friends feel. They can't feel the hot water or they can't feel, when they're washing themselves or when someone gives them a hug. And I thought to myself, I'm really glad that I met up with Dr. Walters and he was able to educate me on resensation and that I was able to have that procedure done during my mastectomy because I can feel my kids hug me. I can feel my students when they hug me. I can feel the hot water in the shower. These are things that we all take for granted on a regular basis. But for a woman who's undergone a mastectomy, these are things that she'll never feel again without this procedure.
So powerful. And as you can see from those photos, you live a full life. You're a first grade teacher. Shout out to you. I want to ask you, what do you wish other women knew before undergoing a mastectomy or reconstruction?
So I wish they knew about resensation because honestly, I did not know about it until I went to Dr. Walters and he educated me on it. I looked up things online constantly and I never saw anything about it. And had I known about this, I probably would have went ahead and had my mastectomy in 2017 versus 2019. So for any patients out there or any doctors out there, just know that this procedure is out there. It does work. It takes an extra 15 to 30 minutes, but it's life changing. At least it was life changing for me.
And what's also life changing is those self breast exams. For the women out there who are watching, can you tell them the reason why they should perform those self breast exams? Because it essentially helps save your life as well.
So you definitely should perform them because I had just gone to my gynecologist in February and had a breast exam. And in my gynecologist's defense, there was no lump there at the time. And I just routinely would do self breast checks in the shower. And by May, I found a 1 centimeter lump in my breast. It had already gone into two of my lymph nodes. So, had I waited till the following February when I went back to the gynecologist to have my self breast exam, it probably would have spread much further because in that short period of time, I was able to feel the lump and it had gone into two lymph nodes. So self check, ladies. It is so important.
A powerful story. Thank you so much, Tony, for joining us this morning. And hey, to learn more about this new procedure, you can log on to resensation.com or follow them on social media at Resensation.